So I thought I'd take you on a tour around a nursery with me, and here's a preview of some of the plants we're going to see on this nursery visit. And we'll just have a look at, I'm going to zoom in on the labels like this around these plants that are unusual and beautiful. So you can have a look and see any that you like and Google them and learn more about them. The focus is on plants that aren't commonly talked about on YouTube. So I find there's a tendency everybody talks about the same plants all the time. And sometimes we just want to try something new and have a look at some new plants. So that's what I'm going to do with this video. We're going to tour some unusual looking plants and beautiful plants. And this is mid-July in the UK, so you can get an idea of the kinds of things that are flowering in the July period, should you be watching it at some other time of the year. First thing I want to show you is this shade barn. How beautiful is this barn? I'll show you it from inside as well. It looks absolutely stunning. This is a beautifully kept nursery in Kent, and I have bought things from here before, and they are, I think, pesticide free because there are so many pollinators in this nursery on the plants, as you will see as we go. And that's always a really good sign, which is important for me. As you know, anybody who follows my channel know that I don't use pesticides on my garden. So I don't want to bring in plants that have got pesticides on them either. Now, I will talk about some of the plants I see here, but I'm just going to focus in on labels sometimes and talk over it. So if you see the label or see a plant that you like and I've zoomed in on the label, I may not necessarily be talking about it. You may have to just Google it. But the other reason I'm in this shade barn here is because I do have a shady part down my garden, and I am thinking of landscaping that and having all these ferns and these kind of shade plants down there. So I will be doing that at a later stage in the video. So I will probably be sourcing many of the plants from this nursery here that you're looking at now. It's expensive, this nursery, but the plants are in tip-top condition and they seem to be pesticide free because of all the bees and butterflies all over the flowers. I do like nurseries simply because they often show you different kinds of plants, such as this one here, that you don't always see in garden centres. Look at this shade barn. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. Honestly, if I ever get a little plot of land, I think I'm definitely going to build myself one of these shade barns. It's beautiful. I absolutely love this fire explosion here. It was absolutely gorgeous. I thought if you had a big meadow that you were rewilding, this would be fantastic. The bees, hoverflies, and everything were all over this. And I just thought it looked really spectacular, all blocked together like this. It was really tall. It was almost as tall as me, and I'm about 5'9". So it was really tall. And then there was another version further along here, which was shorter and had kind of more burgundy flower heads. And there's another one in a minute, which I'll show you. But this one is called beetle wings, quite appropriately. Almost a bit like that cochineal, when they used to crush up beetles to make that red colour. It's kind of gives me cochineal vibes. So beetle wings, yeah. So then there were lots of things. There was actually a lot of things that were missing. I don't know whether they've put them somewhere else. I noticed they have a stock list that is way more extensive than what they have on display. So I think they do supply landscapers and things like that. So they have more stock available than they had on display. Now this phlox, although it's going over, reminds me that I must get a perennial phlox. They're so good for cut flowers and it saves you having to grow them from seed every year. So that was another thing that I put on my list to remind me to get perennial phlox. Now this is another one of those beetle wings or firecracker. I can't remember what those other plants were called. And this one is called squirrel. Hang on, it's here. It's lilac squirrel. And it's like a squirrel tail. That's why I keep thinking it's called squirrel tail. And this one went on my list of things that I definitely want to get at a later date. This is some phylacterum, and this is a white version. I have some phylacterum in mine. It's kind of a pinky lilac colour. It looks a bit like gypsophilia, doesn't it? And we will look at some perennial gypsophilia in a moment, so keep watching. But look, that's the cafe. This is where the nursery is. Look at this scenery. And the cafe is like a little church, but it's just so adorable. And these are some plants that you will know, the Echinacea white swan. And they look at the beautiful condition of these flowers. And of course, they were covered in bees, which was a great sign. As far as I was concerned, this was a fantastic sign that this is a very healthy nursery with extremely healthy plants. So let's move on to this diacia here, denim blue. This is so cute. These kinds of flowers don't normally impress me, but I really love the colour of these. And they look like really teeny tiny pansies, so or violas, whichever, but they're obviously not. They're a completely different plant, but they are beautiful. And I definitely will be looking for a place. I was thinking a nice pot with them sort of clouding over. So, and here's some leucanthemum. They've gone over. Leucanthemum, for those of you who don't know, they're just basically Shasta daisies that you can get in different varieties. And then I went inside this polytunnel, and these were the Alstroemeria Indian summer plants, which of course anybody who's growing cut flowers would be interested in these. They're not the greatest of colour. They're not trendy at the moment, this kind of orange and yellow look, but they still obviously blocked together like this made a really firecracking sort of display. So I thought they were worth showing you. I thought they were still really impressive, and as you know, make a fantastic cut flower if you're looking for flowers that you can have in your border and as a cut flower. Now, there's some Fatsias here, different varieties, and I will link in my description my propagating Fatsia video. If any of you are interested in learning how to propagate Fatsia, I will link that in the description box below this video. Now, coming up after this cute little blue flower, which is not frost hardy, are the agapanthus. Now, the agapanthus here aren't your typical blue and white agapanthus. They are just so much more beautiful and elegant and unusual. So normally you will see the blue and the white, but these, look at these, they're absolutely gorgeous. Look how elegant these trumpets are here. And this one was called Fireworks. And you can see the one without the trumpets, where the trumpets aren't open. It's like when a firework first sort of lights up the sky, and you get that kind of gold dazzle in a big circular shape before all the different colours appear. So it's a very appropriate name, I think. And there's another agapanthus we'll come to in a minute. But first, we're going to visit the rose section. And honest, the roses, they'd obviously moved them out. A lot of them had gone. They've even put these heritage tomatoes here, which I thought was interesting. But some of the roses that remained really caught my eye. Oh, but first, before I get to the roses, I just want to show you this couple of plants here coming up. This one, doesn't it look like a magnolia? Well, first of all, this big leaf one, I don't know if this would go in my shade area, but I definitely have my eye on that. I'll definitely do some looking into that, but it could be that it likes full sun. I'm definitely going to look into this one because I actually really love its tropical vibe down in my shade area. And then these are the roses, and there's two that drew me in. And this one, this kind of apricot pink one, it turns into a variety of colours. It starts off yellow, and then it goes creamy, and then white, and it always has this pink centre. And it's called Eye of the Tiger, and it's a damask rose. It's a proper Persian rose. So I really, really love this rose, the look of this rose. And I definitely think I'm going to get one of these because even though it's going over, I still think it looks absolutely stunning. And then there was this other one. Sorry, this was the damask rose, I think. Now, this surprised me. I'm trying to figure this out, but it says it's related to that iceberg rose. Now, the iceberg rose is a rose I actually cannot stand. But this, it says, is related to it, and that's why it's called burgundy ice. But you could see from the two-tone colour that it really was a stunning rose. So I'm definitely going to look into possibly getting one of those. Look at these eucomis. They had all these different varieties of eucomis, and they have another one in another section, which is not for sale, which you'll see in a minute. And it's honestly the most beautiful flower I think I've ever seen, the little flowers on it. And that's in a section that's not for sale. Then we have some figs, and we have the other agapanthus that I was telling you about, which you'll see in a minute, and that's called Twister. And it's slightly smaller than the firework version, and it's kind of more blue. It's got bluey trumpets. And then there's the firework ones as well, which haven't opened just there. You can see how they look like those fireworks just going off before the flower heads open. Very beautiful. Now, there's one other plant in here that I took a particular interest in because the first time I saw it was at Great Dixter, and then I forgot that I'd seen it at Great Dixter, and I forgot that I really wanted it, and that's Clerodendron. That's this variegated one at the back here. Clerodendron bungii was the one they have at Great Dixter. Now, it's not necessarily hardy, that's the only problem, although it has perennialized at Great Dixter, but I should imagine a very hard winter could wipe it out and threaten it. So it's a very difficult one because Kent is obviously very mild and we can grow things and overwinter things here that you can't in other parts of the UK. But I'd still be a little bit cautious about spending a lot of money on a sort of speciality plant that could potentially be taken out by the winter. So you'd have to have some sort of backup plan, somewhere to be able to put it should the weather turn really bad and we have one of those, once in a 5 years sort of super hard frost, or once every 10 years that lasts for a few weeks. That would be enough to kill a plant like that. This is that eucomis I was telling you about. Look how beautiful it is, and it's obviously attracting the pollinators there. It's like lace. It's so pretty. And then back outside, and there's some different varieties of Crocosmia here as well. There was lots here actually, but I couldn't show it you all, otherwise the video would go on too long. But this next one, look at this. It's like pencil sharpenings. The little leaves on this plant, which is called Salix, and here's the label here if you want to Google it. They like little pencil sharpenings. They were so cute, but I honestly don't know where I'd put a plant like this because it is so sort of unusual looking, but I was still kind of charmed by it. If you like magnolias, then this plant is great for you because you could extend that flowering magnolia look by having this kind of replica magnolia flowering in July. So it's a very interesting plant there. Another great plant. And look at this one. When I first saw this, I thought it was a dahlia, but look at the label. It's an echinacea blueberry cheesecake. So I thought if you don't have a lot of luck growing dahlias, such as me, then this would be a great substitute. Plus, it's hardy and will perennialize in your garden. And look at it. Doesn't it look amazing? This definitely went on my list of things I'm going to go back and collect when it's cooler. Now, the next one, if you're interested in growing cut flowers, and obviously that echinacea would make a perfect cut flower, but so do these perennial gypsophilia. These have slightly gone over now, so they're past their best, but you can also dry them at their flowering stage because they look really good dried. And this just happens to be a perennial version. So the Covent Garden is the kind of version you have to sow every year because it's an annual, but this version is the perennial version. So if you're growing a low maintenance cut flower patch, then the perennial gypsophilia is, of course, ideal. And here's another more sort of common looking echinacea, the pink one. Most people have seen that one before, but again, covered in bees. So very, very healthy, organic nursery plants here, which I very much admire. And then we're getting towards the end now, and this was probably my favorite. So save the favorite till last. I mean, it was right at the end, and it's Agastache and it's black adder. And it was covered in bees and butterflies. I mean, literally covered in them. And I didn't know if it was really picking it up on camera, just how many bees and butterflies were all over this plant. So because obviously I have an organic and biodiverse garden, this was a no-brainer for me. I'm absolutely 100% getting at least 2 of these to put in my garden to hopefully perennialize. There's a shot with, you can see what, 10 bees and butterflies in that just one shot alone on a couple of flower heads there, and there were hundreds of them. So I just really loved that. That is a great bonus for me. So there you have it. That was a really nice walk around a beautiful nursery in deep countryside in Kent. Absolutely stunning surroundings with this cute little churchy looking cafe, which isn't a church at all. It's just like a folly or something like that. And inside it has a cafe and coffee and cake and things like that. And then you can just see it in the background there, and all these beautiful, gorgeous plants. This was in a very serious like heat wave and drought, and yet everything still looks beautiful and polished here. You can see the shade barn there in the background. It's just super stunning. It's a lovely place to come. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely got some ideas, and I hope you got some ideas for some different kinds of plants, different varieties that not often talked about on YouTube, because everybody kind of talks about the same plants because that's what the algorithm rhythm, wants, and churns out. So it's nice to see something different. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did and you got inspired, don't forget to subscribe, like, share with your friends, and I'll see you again in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.